Welcome, I'm Jude and this here is Scruffy, and today we're thinking about what makes a saint. Now, Scruffy, you seem very excited about something. I wonder what it is. You're excited because you're going to become a scout. Oh, that is really exciting, Scruffy. And you've been working hard, have you? Oh, I wonder what kind of things make you work hard. There's a clue in your bag. Oh, shall we get it out and see what there is? Oh, Scruffy, you seem to have some binoculars. They're to help you see a really long way away. It's to help you when you're reading maps and looking in the distance. Oh, that's an amazing thing. You want to be the best scout there is. Well, that's really lovely, Scruffy. But you seem to be looking a little bit sad about that. You don't think you're good enough to become a scout? Because you're not quite sure how to read maps. Oh, Scruffy, you don't need to already be able to use binoculars or read maps or be able to have all those skills. In order to be a scout, you just need to say the promise and then you'll learn. I know, that's amazing, isn't it? Now today we're going to be thinking about what makes a saint. So I've got a quick question for you. What do you think a saint is? What's a saint? Have a little think and chat to the people around you. Well, there's some great ideas there. But a saint is someone who believes and follows Jesus. So that just means anyone who is a Christian or someone who believes and follows Jesus, well, they're a saint. In fact, it says in the Bible, in the Christian holy book, it says there in Romans that anyone who believes and follows Jesus is a saint. But you might have heard of some very special saints. You've heard of some special saints, have you? I wonder if you know any names of any. Call them out to me. Oh, yes, St. George, that's a good one. St. Andrew. Oh, St. Francis. Oh, well, you know all about St. Francis, don't you, Scruffy? You see, St. Francis is a patron saint, just like George and Andrew are. That means that they are special people who are followers of Jesus, so they're saints, but they have lived their lives trying to do something that gets them closer to being like Jesus. And St. Francis, well, I wonder whether you know what he's the patron saint of. Oh, Scruffy, you definitely know, don't you? That's right. He's the patron saint of animals, which is why Scruffy's getting so excited. Now, we have special saints who try to be like Jesus. They try to act like him and be like his character. In fact, I wonder if you know what kind of things would describe Jesus' character. We give that a fancy word. It's called an adjective, a describing word. So I'm going to think of a word to describe Jesus, his character, not the way he looks. So, I know one. Loving. You like that one, do you, Scruffy? Do you have one? Caring. That's a good one. Generous. That's a brilliant one. Oh, I've got another one. Humble. All these words describe what Jesus is like. In fact, we're playing a game of ping pong, aren't we? We're saying a describing word and then we're sharing it back and forth. I wonder if you want to play along. Now, let's see. Can you call out a word to describe Jesus? Brilliant. Oh, I've got another one. I'm going to go for sensitive. Oh, I wonder if you know what that means. So we have got different words that describe what Jesus is like. And a saint, a person who follows Jesus, tries to become more and more like them. And special people who try really hard to become like Jesus and live like Jesus, well, they are given the name a saint before their actual name. So like you might have heard of Saint Peter. Now, Peter was a really close friend of Jesus. In fact, they used to go fishing together and do ministry together, and Peter got to see all the miracles that Jesus did. And when Jesus went to heaven, why, Peter carried on being like Jesus. He was caring and loving and kind. He taught about Jesus, and there were some miracles that happened with Peter too. In fact, there was one miracle when Peter walked by and his shadow passed over someone and they were healed. Wow, that's incredible, isn't it? So there are some very special saints called patron saints, which have very special links to different things. like animals with St. Francis, and like Peter. So we have got very special days in the church's year. You might know that there are special days that are celebrated. In fact, we celebrated a very special saint very recently. It was on the 14th of February, and it's to do with hearts and love. Do you know what it is? You do! St. Valentine, that's right. It was St. Valentine's Day, and St. Valentine is a patron saint of love, which is why we celebrate it. But on the 1st of November, well, that's All Saints' Day. That's a day when every saint is celebrated. And remember, every saint is everyone who follows Jesus. So anyone who's alive who follows Jesus, who's a Christian, and anyone who's passed away, well, they get celebrated on that day too. All Saints' Day, the 1st of November. Now, you might have noticed that I use the name Christian. And maybe you know something about the word Christian. Maybe you can hear another name inside it. Christian. That's right, Christ. In fact, Christian means little Christs. So people who believe in Jesus try to act like him, try to be like little Christ. They try to be like a saint, saintly, and having all the characteristics just like Jesus in order to be more like him. In fact, there are so many amazing saints that you might like to find out about. I'm going to quickly tell you now about one of my favourite saints. He's got a very strange name. His name is Saint Philip Neri. And he was alive a few hundred years ago, and he was really, really upset about poor people, and so he would go around feeding the poor, giving them clothes and making sure they were warm. But he was also a really important person, and so everyone in the town who was really rich and wealthy, why, they wanted to have St. Philip Neri come to their house for tea. And so St. Philip Neri felt really bad. He didn't want to go to the rich people's houses and eat food that his friends didn't afford, because he was looking after the poor. But he didn't want to upset the rich people by telling them he didn't want to go to their house. So he came up with a really funny idea. So amazing. He had a beard, and he decided one day he was going to shave off half of his beard. Now, not the bottom half, not the top half, but the side. Now that would have looked really silly, wouldn't it? Well, what people thought was that they didn't want St. Philip Neri coming to their house for dinner because he only had half a beard. So they just didn't ask him. So he was so happy because he hadn't upset the poor people that he was looking after by having rich food. He didn't upset the rich people because he didn't have to say he didn't want to go to the house for their tea. And he just had to wear a very silly half a beard. I love the story of St. Philip Neri. Maybe you can find out about a special saint yourself and let me know all about him by writing it down, finding out about who that saint is and what they are the patron saint of, so who they're linked to or what they're linked to. So today we've learnt that a saint is someone who follows Jesus. What makes a saint is someone who wants to be more like Jesus, to act like them, to act lovingly and kindly and in a caring way. And that we can learn to be a bit like a saint ourselves. So I wonder if any of those special describing words, those characteristics that we said about Jesus, that we can try and use ourselves. So maybe you can try and challenge yourself to be a bit more generous, or more loving, or more kind, or more humble. We can learn to be a bit more like Jesus. And that means that we're trying to act like a saint. So I hope you've enjoyed learning all about saints today. And Scruffy, we learned, didn't we, that to be a scout, you don't have to be already able to do things and already have all those skills that you're going to learn to do your badges. You just need to say the promise and be part of the group. Just like a saint doesn't need to do all those things to be a saint. They just need to love and follow Jesus. Can you complete these tasks? Saint Ping Pong. Play a game of Saint Ping Pong by saying words that describe a saint. For example, caring, kind, helpful, etc. Story of a saint. Can you find out about your favourite saint? Draw their picture and write down what you've learnt about them. Hint, are they linked to anything? For example, animals. What's their story? Do they have a special Saint's Day? Be a saint. Choose a word from Saint Ping Pong. How can you be more like that word? Challenge yourself this week to act in that way. For example, being generous.